This is a production of PBS Charlotte.
The following episode of Charlotte Cooks is brought to you by Central Piedmont Community College and viewers like you. Thank you.
Coming up on this episode of Charlotte Cooks, we have our really good friend Raffaele Patrizi joining us, and he's going to be making us some eggplant parmesan. You don't want to miss this one. Welcome to this edition of Charlotte Cooks. How are you doing, Raffaele?
Good morning, Pamela. I'm doing very, very well. Thank you for asking.
I am so glad you're here with us. You're going to make us some eggplant parmesan today.
Yes, I'm doing in the real way.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see how you
Alright.
get this done, because we have an Americanized version, and I want to see what the real Italian version is all about.
So eggplant parm is originally from Sicily. Is named Parmigiana originally, and then like here in the States, so it's served usually like as a lasagna, just like a piece of the made in layer. And here in the States, like we serve like it's really good, but we serve on top of spaghetti with tomato sauce. But so we're gonna start from the tomato sauce because it's the thing that is going to take a little bit longer. So I'm going to get some garlic, onions, some beautiful little carrots, and then parsley, basil, and let it simmer, tomato sauce, and then we're gonna let it simmer everything for 45 minutes.
And these are locally grown things, aren't
Yep, everything is from local farmers. These onions, so you see it's not completely, like it's fully grown, but it's a little smaller because it's been a little harder, so they hurt like the onions to grow softened a little bit, but these are, and what does it mean? That they're smaller, are much more rich on flavor and everything. So we're gonna grab the garlic.
We're going to turn on the pot?
Yep.
All right, what kind of heat do you want?
Let's do medium.
Medium?
Yeah, medium fire. This is going to be blend everything. It's gonna be nice and smooth. So I don't need any fancy mince. I don't need any julienne, anything. So everything is gonna be tossed in the pot nice and rough.
Okay.
And everything is going to be like to pull out all the goodness, like all the beautiful flavor of the garlic, the onions, the carrots, the tomato sauce. So everything is gonna be lightly charred.
Okay.
So just grab the garlic.
So if you decide to make this at home, remember, you don't have to do a whole lot of chopping to make this sauce. Like he's saying, put it in rough, cook it, let it get nice and soft, and then we're going to puree it later, right?
Yep.
And it's going to be delicious.
All right, so smash a little the garlic. Why I smash the garlic? So the garlic, smashing it, is going to release more the flavor, more the sweetness, and is going to roast much better.
I can smell it already. It's lovely.
All right, so
I love
we are
the
going
smell
to
of
put
garlic.
a little extra virgin olive oil, no veggie oil or canolas. So in Italy, most of the time when we cook just and only with extra virgin because it's what we have available. Just higher up a little bit the fire, just to start to heat it up a little quicker.
So you've got just enough oil in there to cover the bottom of the pan. Some recipes I've seen call for so much oil, but I really don't think you need that much oil. It doesn't make it any more velvety, does it?
And the thing is, like when you have a good product, like extra virgin oil that is very bold, if you are going to use too much, it's going to overpower all the other flavor that you are going to add to, you know?
It would. Yes, it would.
And I say, just rough. So I'm gonna start adding the garlic.
So when you put your garlic in, what are you looking for before you add the rest of your onions?
So I'm just looking for a little gold, not become like too dark, just become lightly brown. So now it's time to add the whole onions, and I'm just going to toss them.
I love that sound.
Oh, tell me about it.
You wake up in the morning saying, I can't wait to hear that sound.
And in the whole restaurant, we like heard this sound pretty much every day. We make that we use in the restaurant, and we sell at our farmer's market about 80-90 gallons of tomato sauce every week.
Do you really?
Yeah, and we sell out every time everything. So
between the hundreds of pounds of pasta and the gallons of tomato sauce, you guys have some practice.
So now, usually I don't peel local carrots, and the reason is because how you can see, these are just like rich of flavor, very, very beautiful. Why waste this beautiness? But in this case, just showing you guys because not everybody can get local carrots, so some of you guys can find carrots from the supermarket. So we are going just to peel them, and do not toss onion skin when you do this sauce. Do not toss this beautiful and rich. This is one of the part of the carrots that has more richness, more flavor.
Okay.
So you can do chicken stock from this. You can do anything with this, like a veggie stock. The onions now, they're just nice and roast. You can do this pretty much like meanwhile you are drinking let's say a bottle of wine. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You enjoy a little relaxing time because when you do food, mostly like all the foods, but mostly Italian food is love, is a passion. So just take your time, enjoy what you're doing, enjoy the smell of, in this case, these onions and garlic releasing in your house.
It's nice to get your family to help you too.
Yeah, that for sure. And now just like chop very randomly all the carrots.
Once again, we're not looking for an exact cut. We're just roughly chopping it and throwing it in, just like we did with the onions and the garlic.
Yep. How you can see, the onions start to be nice and use the word translucent.
Yes.
That what does it mean, Larry? It means that
it's
start to become transparent.
Now, for those of you at home, translucent doesn't mean you can see through it all the way. You're still going to be able to have a lot of white in that onion. It's just where you're starting to see through the edges, and that's what he's talking about.
So, and now we are going to add the carrots. And again, just stir this on. Of course, around at this point, the patty start to be hot.
Yes.
So don't be a hero. Use like use
your towel.
the towels. So, and let now the carrots start to cook a little bit as well. So when I do my big batches of tomato basil, I have a perfect, like of course, it's all in my brain, but I have a perfect timing for each ingredient that I'm going to put in the pot. So of course, I add with the extra virgin olive oil. I add the garlic, and the garlic I let it brown it up for about 5 minutes. I add the onions, and the onions it takes like in bigger batches, of course, it takes about 10-15 minutes. I add the carrots after, and that as well is about 10 minutes. So all these steps, the reason is because each vegetables has the time to release all the sweetness, the sugar, the flavor that they have. And I'm going to build slowly the flavor profile that Italian cuisine is known for. So now I just literally grab the parsley, boom, toss in there. Grab the basil. Of course, if are bigger branches, try to pull these out.
Now, do you put the flower buds in there too, or do you pick those out?
I love the flower, yeah. The flower of the basil is the one that has more flavor of the basil. So, of course, when are the flower, it means that the plant start to become a little older.
Yes.
But I love, personally, when the basil start to do flower, just grab that, and I do like a tomato and mozzarella, like a caprese, and instead to use the leaf, sprinkle the flour on top. That is one of my favorite things.
That would be beautiful too.
Just lightly cook this. When the basil and parsley is just like a little wilted, you grab the tomato cans. So in this case, I usually use like fresh tomatoes, but using fresh tomato is a little bit more expensive, like it's not something, and it's not something that you can find all year around. So what I'm using just passata di pomodoro. Passata di pomodoro is just like tomato sauce, like a very thick tomato sauce. That is almost tomato paste, so it's a mix between tomato paste and the classic straight tomato that you can find.
And they can find these in your market, right?
Yeah, they can come at my restaurant. We opened our second restaurant in South Park. I think last time we saw each other, we had just the one in Uptown.
Yeah.
And recently we just opened another one in South Park. It's a gorgeous place.
It is a gorgeous place.
So now we just are going to add the passata di pomodoro and just use a little bit of water.
Got to get every bit out of the can.
Yeah, just like clean the cans, because when you're going to buy this, of course, you pay everything of this can.
Yes, yes you do.
Tossine.
Want me to give this a stir?
Yeah, please. And then we are not done yet. we get 2 leaves of bay leaf.
Okay.
Tossi, one flew away.
I get that one.
And
There we go.
just a little bit, sorry if I walk behind you,
You're
chef.
fine.
And just a little bit of salt,
Just a little bit of salt.
just a little bit. And a pinch of pepper. There you go. And bring the sauce now to boil.
And then we're going to let that simmer for about 45 minutes. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So the first 5-10 minutes is very important because what is going to happen? Right now, when we toss the tomato sauce in, like the tomato was all mixed. So now what is going to happen, slowly, that the water is gonna go up and the sugar that are heavier and all the heavy part of the tomato is going down.
yes,
So the
yes,
first 10
yes.
minutes is very important because like if you don't keep an eye on it, you can burn the
Yes.
bottom. Always keep an eye on it. And let's step over here on the eggplant parmesan.
Okay, now we're going to go
starting.
talking
Yeah.
about eggplants. Why don't you tell us about eggplants? Because there is more than one kind of eggplant out there.
Yeah, let's not forget, before we start to do the eggplant parmesan process, let's heat up the oven at 350.
Okay, 350.
Yeah, if you can help me, chef.
Because
There you go.
then when we're ready to put it in the oven, it's already preheated and ready to go.
Today, we have only 2 variety of eggplants. We have the classic eggplant that you can find in any places. That is just a purple eggplant. You can find around, like the Japanese style that look like this,
But they're
are
long and
longer.
skinny.
You can have you can find the Indian style that are more small kind of eggplants.
Looks like little round balls.
Yeah. Or you can find as well different Italian variety of eggplants, just like this. So this is named graffiti eggplants or melanzane graffiti. So melanzane is the word in Italian of eggplants. And what does that mean, the word graffiti? So the design in Italian is named graffiti. The name is coming from how you can see all these, it look almost like design.
Yes,
like,
the striation in there. Yeah.
So when I do my eggplant parmesan, I usually prefer to use this kind of eggplant. And the reason is because they are both very good to use. Doesn't matter if you cannot find these, you can use these, but this usually has a little bit thicker skin. You see that my knife has a little bit more hard time to enter in it, and it's just because
The thick is,
Yep.
the skin is
the
thicker.
skin is it's a
On the
little
thicker
thicker
side, yes,
of it.
yes.
Yeah. This is stand, it's a little bit more thinner skin.
Yeah, it is.
So if you use the purple one, usually I suggest to peel it.
Okay.
But if you found like eggplants that are more like this from local farmers, you can use the same without peeling them. But if you are going to use eggplants from the supermarket that are much bigger,
Yes.
and so what does that mean? The skin, if it's thicker, is going to be a little bit bitter. It's going to be more chewy when you are biting into. So I always prefer to use or this kind, or if I found the dark one, buy local and buy the smaller one. That is a little bit more soft. Cut the head on it, all of them. You can even cut like up here and then just peel the top. I prefer use a mandolin. You can use if you are in a restaurant, you can use a slicer, whatever. But you just put the mandolin about 3/4 of an inch, 1 inch, and just be careful for your hands that you don't slice your hands.
So if you didn't have a tool, you can always just do this with a knife
Just
too.
yeah,
Just
just
take
do
your
a
time.
knife.
Yeah, those machines really intimidate a lot of people.
Yeah. Even if
And
you work
rightly
in a
so.
restaurant, like,
and it
should
do-
I be careful? No.
Yeah, you do have to be careful.
So, and always, like when you do the eggplant parmesan as well, try to get just the middle one, and they're gonna show you the reason why. You can use even the edges, but the edges are not going to stick like the cream, the bread. But you can always use that for, I don't know, satay or enjoy in any other way.
The breading won't stick to the skin, and so you want to make sure that you have the flesh showing so that the breading will stick to the flesh, because it's just the skin doesn't hold on to the breading for some reason. So how many eggplants does it take to make this dish?
In this pan, use just 2. Just I love slicing, so I'm gonna slice all of you guys for all of it. There you go.
Do you want me to start heating this oil up?
Yeah, let's turn on the
Okay. And how...
Let's start very low, just low heat, just because this is a cast iron and take a little time to heat it up.
Okay, and how much oil do you need?
An inch of olive oil. I use always and only extra virgin olive oil for it.
You could tell by that color. It's beautiful.
Just to give a little bit more flavor to everything that you do. So what do we have here now? We have flour. You can use all-purpose flour. It's not very important. Just
Okay.
like a white kind of flour. You have eggs, cream, like preferable half and half. That is a little bit more rich. A little Parmesan as well to put in and give it more flavor. Salt, pepper, of course. And then we have breadcrumb. I use like a Japanese style breadcrumb. It's just a little bit more
It's
light
larger.
to it.
Yeah.
And give a little bit more flavor when you do this.
Okay.
So just toss this in for now. I toss flour in as well. And then I just grab salt, pepper. I know, Italian just go by eyes. I wrote the recipe for this show, but I go every time by eyes. A little salt as well here. Pepper. And a little dry parsley. Just give a little,
Oh, that'll be pretty.
extra color. 1 egg.
How many eggs do you use?
I use for this just one. Just give a little color to it, and a little extra flavor. And
You put the Parmesan in with the eggs. Okay,
I put
good.
Parmesan with the eggs,
Good.
and I put Parmesan as well with the breadcrumb.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I grab the whisk and just whisk everything.
This already looks good, and you're just putting it together.
And we just start the breading process. Just grab the eggplants, make sure that you coat each side.
And you've got salt and pepper in your flour
Yep.
and in your breading, so you
Yep.
don't have to worry about salt and peppering them in their raw state.
And as well, the raw state of the eggplants, usually you add, when you add salt, the eggplant is going to release water. It's going to release all the juice of it. And in this case, it's going to make the eggplant too dry.
Okay.
So you want that the eggplant is as fresh and as juicy as possible.
Okay.
Just take your time, do one eggplant at a time, drink another bottle and a half of wine, enjoy your day.
You're going to forget what you're doing with all that wine. Have to have your friends come over.
Yeah.
And speaking of friends, we have a studio audience today, and we have the Charlotte Herb Guild here with us. And I just wanted to welcome to our studio audience.
All right. So now we just breaded with flour or eggplants. Just do now the milk and egg wash.
Let's coat both sides.
Yeah. Put a little bit of breadcrumb.
Now, the reason you do this is to keep those eggplants from sticking to
Yeah.
that tray.
When it's eggplant season, we get and buy locally, of course. So I do eggplant parma at my restaurant just between June to about July, like August, pretty much. And is when eggplant season it is. After that, I can still have some eggplant in my shop to sell in retail, but I don't have any to serve fresh as like to eat.
Okay.
And the reason is because we buy the eggplant from local farmers during the season. Last year, we bought and processed and made about 700 pounds of eggplants.
Wow. That's
And,
a lot of eggplant.
Yeah. Coat a little bit on the bottom, coat on top, and just push. Make sure that the breading stays on it. Never forget about your tomato sauce, because
Right.
as I mentioned, the first 10 minutes you need to
Stir
make
it.
sure and
Yes.
stir that the sugar doesn't go too much on the bottom. So this is like always as well, you need to think of the kind of equipment, cooking equipment that
Yes.
you have, because sometimes like the induction stove or electric stove is a little bit more cook a little bit more sweet,
Yes.
like more delicate.
Yeah.
Sometimes the gas range is centered a little bit more
Can be powerful.
a little bit more powerful. So
Yeah.
make sure always to check an eye on your tomato sauce, because just like in this case, it went to me was cooking, it dry up a little too much. But don't be afraid about that. What doesn't mean that the tomato is going to went to become more concentrate. You just grab like a cup of water, toss the water in it.
And that's that's what you did here.
How
Okay.
you know tomatoes are about, I don't know the perfect science, but 80% made out of water. So you're just going to give back what is went to be evaporate.
So it stays fluid.
We are going to pan fry these. You can pan fry, you can deep fry them. The difference is if you have a fryer, toss the fryer, or if you have like a pan, sauté pan, or frying pan, you just like do in this way. So my technique, many people use the tablespoon. Grandmas in Italy, they put the finger and feel how hot it is.
I put a wooden spoon in.
I just grab like the same breadcrumb that I'm going to use, sprinkle on top, and listen seasoning.
Yes, you can see it.
And what does that mean? That is ready.
It's ready. Here we go. I'm glad Italians fry things too.
Yeah. This, after you fry, it's always best to let it rest for about like 5 minutes, otherwise you are going to burn your fingers when you are
trying
going.
to pick it up and deal with it, yeah. You want it to be golden brown, right?
Yep.
Okay.
You want that they are golden brown, each side. Make sure, of course, to don't burn them. So just, how I say, Italian kitchen, Italian cuisine, it's very like easy. It's just like beautiful ingredients.
It is beautiful.
Passion, time, boom. Make a beautiful meal out of it. If like the oil start to fry too hard, just shut down very gentle the fire, and every time everything under control. So how you can see this is ready?
Beautiful golden brown. We have our sauce that's been cooking, and now we're going to puree it, and we're going to assemble this.
Yep, but how do you understand if the tomato sauce is ready?
Okay.
So do you see how these like almost orangish
little
circle? They are the tomato when it's cooking is going to release acid.
Okay.
So more it cooks in the beginning, and more the acid is going to expand, and slowly is going to reduce and evaporate all the acid.
Okay.
So what does that do? It's going to give the tomato sauce more like a sweetness flavor, more bold flavor. Let's grab the immersion blender and blend it out.
Now, y'all be careful when you do this. You can do this in a blender, you can do it in a food processor, or you can do it with an immersion blender, but be careful because it is hot, and if it splatters, you will get it on you and you'll know it.
Now is the fun part. The easiest, you drink about 5 bottles of wine now, you are tired, it's the last step, but anyway.
You don't care about dinner being done.
But you just grab a little tomato sauce, put on the bottom, smear.
And once again, this is to keep it from sticking to the bottom of the pan.
Yep. And then just grab the eggplants and just play like Tetris.
There you go.
Just do 1, 2. I go as well. Sometimes the pieces are not the most perfect, so you just careful. I do on this. Like you should not do like a knife, a good knife on the iron, but guys, just want to show you guys. Put here.
So you want it all to be a nice, thin, single layer.
Yep.
No overlapping.
And again, grab a little tomato sauce, smear on top.
Now, we're not swimming it in tomato sauce. We're just layering it with tomato sauce.
So I'm gonna get the Parmesan now, and I just put a little bit to give a extra flavor.
That nice, rich flavor that Parmesan has.
Grab the mozzarella, do the same thing.
And are you using whole milk mozzarella?
Yes.
Okay.
And now just keep it building up.
Does it matter how many layers you get?
I like to be about to the limit.
Okay.
So in this case, it depends as well how thick or thin you slice your eggplants.
Right.
So in this case, we can do even 3 layers, no problem at all.
So if you had really thick slices.
I will do two layers. Grab again a little Parmesan.
So we see how this is layered like lasagna, right? Layers of flavor.
Of flavor, and a bit more mozzarella on it. And last one, very quick, boom.
Oh boy. And then we have some for snacks, yes.
Always a little extra. So now we are going to put plastic wrap.
Okay.
And then we are going to put the foil on top. So the reason why I know some people can think, why you put plastic wrap in something that you're gonna put in the oven? Actually, if you are going to put plastic wrap and foil, the plastic is not going to melt. So the moist of the lasagna inside is going to work against the heat outside.
Yeah.
And what it does is keeping the lasagna / eggplant in this case nice and moist without letting it dry too much.
Okay. So now we're going to put this in the oven, right?
Let's put this in the oven.
How long do we put? We have a 350-degree oven.
So,
How long?
So you do a 350 degrees for about 45 minutes.
All right. So the last few minutes, you take the foil off
Yep.
so that it can get nice and brown and bubbly.
Yep.
This looks fantastic.
And you let it set for about 4 or 5 minutes after you pull out, because in this way all the extra oil, extra moist that was inside is going to get absorbed back from the eggplant.
Right.
And you just start to cut. Separate a little bit the side. Listen how crispy.
Ooh, yeah, you can hear the cheese.
We're gonna grab a little of our tomato sauce that we previously cooked. Put a little bit on the bottom. Extra flavor.
Good flavor.
Good flavor, all the best.
That sauce is amazing.
Just grab the eggplant,
Ooh.
put on top.
And there we've got it. Look at this beautiful eggplant parmesan. I bet you've never seen anything like that before unless you've been to Mano Bella. This is fabulous. So here is a recipe for a beautiful tomato sauce, an eggplant parmesan, served lasagna style. Thank you for watching this episode of Charlotte Cooks. If you'd like to grab our recipes, go to pbscharlotte.org and you can find our recipes. And thank you so much for being here again.
Of course.
And we'll catch you guys next time on Charlotte Cooks. Thanks for watching.
A production of PBS Charlotte.